Hi, good day. Welcome once again to Conversaciones Cannábicas, Semillas de Cambio. I'm your host, Camacho, president of the Federation or la Federación Cannábica de Cultivo de Baja California, the Federation for Cannabis Cultivation of Baja California. And today we are diving into a topic that's generating quite a buzz in the cultivation world, a technique that seems straight out of science fiction, yet I understand it has historical roots. I'm talking about electroculture. And to unravel its mysteries and understand its potential, we have the privilege of welcoming a true cannabis and cultivation enthusiast. Katya Napzok. Katya is not only an experienced cannabis cultivator and user, but she is also delved deeply into the fascinating world of electroculture. So let me go ahead and introduce her. Hi,
Hello,
Katya.
hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been looking forward for this conversation for a while now, and we are incredibly excited to finally have you here on Conversaciones Cannábicas, Semillas de Cambio. So, to break the ice a little bit, and before we immerse ourselves into the electromagnetic fields, I would love for you to tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Katya Napzok? What do you do? And what has been your personal experience with cannabis and its cultivation?
Yeah, cool. So let's see. I'll just start by saying that I'm a single mom that's been living in Baja for about 9 years now in the La Mission area. I'm from California. So, needless to say, being a Cali girl, I've about 30 years, I was doing the math, I've been enjoying cannabis for about 30 years and got involved with the cultivation process probably within the last 15 years, maybe something like this, working with growers, trimming, working with the farmers. And then now in the last few years, I've gotten more involved with medicinal. And I have a business called Baja Bruja, which
Okay.
I make medicina from local plants, and cannabis is definitely one of them. So working with, I make actually cannabis cacao, and then I make topical cannabis. And so now I'm more focused on the medicinal, uses of cannabis, and then getting involved with cultivation and feeling more passionate about sharing some of the wisdoms and experience that I have, with people that are maybe beginner getting into it, newly. So, yeah, and I'm an artist, a massage therapist besides that, and all around lover of earth. I am an earth steward, is how I like to describe myself. So, yeah, and I'm just stoked to connect with you and your organization and see how we can support each other.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Fascinating, Katya. Your journey shows us a deep connection to the plant, as you mentioned. Now, let's turn to this technique that you mentioned and sparks, at least in me, so much curiosity. Electroculture. For those who have never heard of it, or for like myself, that I heard about it about 2, 3 weeks ago, uh, or for the people that is considering to um, heard or try this technique, maybe someone will think that it sounds kind of esoteric, magic, or like science fiction, as I mentioned at the beginning. Could you explain in simple words what electroculture is and what its principles are?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does. When you see it from the outside and these antennas and things, it does look very science fiction film. But it's basically harnessing the electric charge that is known as the Schumann resonance. A lot of us have heard of this, maybe not, but it's the energy that is the in the ionosphere and the soil of the earth, right? There's this layer of plasma, also it's called ether, right? So electrical culture works with the charge from the ionosphere and the soil to create an electromagnetic biological shield, almost, if you will, that boosts vitality and growth in any plant, trees, to cannabis, to food, to herbs. And we'll get more into the details of what is entailed, but that's a very, simple definition. You're working with an electrical charge from the earth to boost the electromagnetic field of plants.
Sounds great. And what promise does this technique hold for cultivation in general, but most important for cannabis in particular?
Yeah. So starting from just in general, so when you're working with a harmonious electromagnetic field and you're working with paramagnetic minerals in the soil, so in a living soil, it boosts the growth of the roots, right? So a plant wants all that nutrient intake. And when you create this harmonious field of electromagnetic energy, it deters pests. It causes the plant to be more resilient to stress and disease. It boosts vigor and speed of growth as well as bringing more vitality, flavor, and aroma to the fruits and the flowers, and just all around creating a vital plant. Yes. And so in cannabis, it would be specific, of course, in the beginning, in the vegetation, you're activating the roots. You're working with magnets. You're working with etheric energy, and you're working with the conducting of the earth's soil, which makes the roots so happy. And when roots are happy, they can intake all of the nutrients and minerals, right? All of the calcium and the magnesium and the potassium, the things that cannabis needs to give us those yummy flowers, yes, and to taste good and to smell good and all of those things, right? When you have that proper mineral balance, the plant will grow strong and vital. You won't have to worry about fertilizers and bugs, that sometimes you might deal with in cannabis. And then when it gets to the fruiting phase, the flowers themselves, you will see it in the production of the cannabis plant. We all are trying to get the highest quality medicina, right? Like from cannabis. Yeah, and that's why we add things, and we're always trying to improve the way that. Yeah, and so this is a simple way to avoid things like chemicals, because I would love to see cannabis grown all around the world without chemicals, because we don't want chemicals in our food, and we definitely don't want chemicals in our cannabis. Yes, because it ends up in the flower. And when we put it in our bowl or whatever and roll it up, we're breathing in those chemicals. And we all have hit someone's like, oh.
You're right about that.
That's the chemicals. See?
And is this technique already a proven science, or is still being researched?
Yes. So, electroculture is kind of trending right now. As you said, it's a buzz. It's being talked about, but it's very ancient. We can call electroculture an ancient revival. It's more like a revival, right? Because I won't go too much into the politics, but the agriculture and the pesticide companies suppressed it, right? So it used to be used hundreds of years ago, specifically in the 1800s. It was used a lot for small family agriculture before it was mass industrialized. And so it got suppressed. It got, the chemical fertilizer companies took over, of course, for the profit and all of those things. Yes. So what's happening right now, it's a rebirthing, it's a remembrance that this is a powerful tool. There are many, I could, drop some names of men, Walter Russell, another guy named Victor Schronberg. These are men from the 1800s who established the science of electroculture, have written books on it. So this is not new. No, this is not new. It's probably about 200 or more years old at least. I mean, we could go back into ancient times probably and find other
other
signs of it.
examples of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sounds really interesting. And besides these historical figures that you mentioned, are there any key moments in history where electroculture has been used or has been proven to give better yields?
Yeah, what I've been tuning into is a lot of the Midwest farmers. So, in the United States, in the Midwest part
Mhm.
of the states is where, like, probably 90%, besides some California, of where all of the food is grown. So I've been tuning into more of the agricultural side and the farmer. I mean, I follow YouTube channels of these Midwest Tennessee farmers that are having mind-blowing results. And they'll do test runs, Camacho. They'll do like a garden bed with no electroculture, right? And then they'll do a comparison. And they'll do electroculture in one whole section, and the results are undeniable. And so they're video and monitoring and recording the results and learning new ways to make it better. But we're talking about not only yield, but like the size of. So let's say you get a tomato like this big without electroculture, you'll get a tomato like this. Yes.
I see.
Yeah. So the farmers are definitely sold on this because they're doing the tests. They're hands-on testing it. Yes. And so they are convinced because they're like, it's plain as day. This isn't growing. This is growing. This is covered with pests. This is not. So it's been proven to not be, just esoteric. And so a lot of the Midwest farmers are adopting it. Yeah. And that's what I've been tuning into. There's other areas in the world probably as well, but I'm just, being from the United States, I'm tuning in to kind of to what they're doing, but it's definitely global. It's being used global and being proven. Yep. Being science hard proven.
I see. Sounds interesting. And besides this, is there any proof that this technique was used in ancient times? I mean, by
Yeah,
practitioners?
I would like to do more personal research around that, but there has been archaeological, evidence
Mm-hmm.
of things that, and also even in Egypt, they have the hieroglyphs, and we're getting more into uncovering things in Egypt. There are pictographs that depict the use of a plasma tool. And there's a lot of discussion around what it is, but there are new discoveries now, pieces and dots being connected, like, oh, maybe they were harnessing electromagnetic frequency. A lot of the, like the pyramids, for instance, Camacho, they're one big electroculture huge version. That's basically what the pyramids are doing. And you can use the pyramid shape in electroculture as well. I can talk about that more, but you utilize shape power. So when we look at the ancient and all the megalithic structures, pyramids, and then it's all harnessing the ether and the plasma, and they find remnants of copper, remnants of metals, because when you use the metals, that's the conductor that works with the etheric field in the ionosphere.
So according to what they've been finding out, it was a way of harnessing and channeling that energy to their fields, to their crops.
Absolutely. And not just the crops, but us too, for all of life, because we're focusing on cultivation of plants, but this science applies to us too. We are big plants. We are plants that talk, basically. See? So copper is something that people wear as jewelry, and they'll find a lot of copper jewelry in ancient archaeology. And that's what it has to do with. The ancients knew. They knew that copper conducts, and that if you use mercury and then you combine this, and use magnets, a lot of magnet power was used in ancient times, They're even thinking maybe that's how they built the pyramids, using different things. There's theories out there. Yeah. So Yeah, you know, and right now it's all just an archaeological study, but
Yes,
I'm convinced, I'm convinced that that's what the ancients were tapping into.
could be. There's a possibility.
Mm.
Now, now that we understand the what and the when on this technique, let's try to move a little bit on the how. So, according to the proponents of electroculture, like yourself,
Yeah,
in this case, what are the proposed mechanisms by which electricity and magnetism can positively influence plants and crops? We're
cool.
talking about, is this regarding nutrient absorption, soil microbiology? How is supposed to work, but at a biological level?
Yeah, awesome. This is the fun part. Okay. Yeah, cool. So the components of electroculture have to do with these handful of things, and then I'll break it down a little bit more. But we're working with paramagnetic materials in the soil. So this would be things like basalt
Okay.
and granite quartz, which are highly conductive materials, right? They're highly magnetic. Then you utilize antennas, which are a whole detail, could be a whole talk in itself. But the antennas utilize copper, or aluminum is another one, but mainly people use copper a lot. You put an antenna in the soil with the copper, you're utilizing shape power. So we know that all of life, spiral is a symbol of growth. All growth moves in a spiral or like a toroidal field. Yes?
Okay.
Yeah. So you think of a toroidal field, comes out like this. We see it in the shape of the apple. So that's what the antenna is, rising above the plant. So you make it taller than whatever you're growing. It's tapping into the electromagnetic plasmatic ether in the ionosphere and bringing it back down around into that paramagnetic soil. Then you're working with things like structured living water, which is also a whole nother video in itself. But structured living water is like spring water. The most alive water is spring, straight out of the earth. Yes?
Okay.
If you can't get spring water straight out of the earth, not accessible for everyone, you spin it. The power of the spin. So we all know what a tornado and that power of the vortex looks like, yes? And
Yes.
lightning. Yeah, we're working. So when you think about lightning and the way it strikes the earth, it activates mycelium and it produces growth. They've done studies on this. So it's almost like we're creating with the paramagnetic, the structured living water, and the copper magnetic antennas create a circuit of electromagnetic and also a biological shield. Because pests and disease, they attack sick plants. So if a plant doesn't have proper nutrients and microbes, okay, the importance of the microbes in the soil are what allow a plant to soak up the nutrients. When a plant has all its proper nutrients, bugs won't even see it. It's almost like it becomes invisible. Yes? And then when you harmonize and amplify electromagnetic frequency for a plant, it basically is returning to the blueprint of Mother Earth itself. And in ancient times, Camacho, we didn't have to do this as much. Want to know why? Because now we're dealing with non-native electromagnetic frequencies, also known as ferromagnetism. What's that? Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
all of the things. And so
Cell
we
phone
have to do,
towers,
yes, yes. So this
electricity,
also,
satellites, you name it.
we have all of this now that what was didn't exist in the 1800s. So what this also does is it creates a natural native ELF, extremely low frequency, which corrects the distortion of the non-native EMF.
Okay.
So it's almost like how do you put it? You like
You,
so the
it's like calling it like an artificial magnetism, something like that, human made?
Yes. So it's correcting what the man-made artificial EMFs and
Okay.
how we're affected. Our health is affected. Everything is, all of life is affected by those frequencies. So when you create the harmonious field, the plant remembers. It's like, oh yeah, and it's no longer susceptible to the distortion and the disharmony, and it remembers, oh yeah, this is my blueprint. I'm a part of Earth. And there's 3 ways that plants use electricity to grow and be vital, and these are words that were new to me too, so I wrote them in my notes. But electroosmosis is the water uptake. Electromigration is the bioavailability of the nutrients, how it gets the nutrients. Electroprism is the cell growth and tissue development. So when you're using electroculture, you're enhancing these 3 terms, and you have to water less. You're properly hydrating because the soil is absorbing that living water, so it takes less water. The plant's actually hydrated. It's properly hydrated, properly nutrified, yes? And then it's in harmony and it's happy. It's like, thank you. That's what I needed. Yes.
So if I understood this correctly, it's this all these types of antennas and pyramids and things are like a complement to organic nutrients and proper watering, correct?
Correct. Yes.
I see. I'm kind of getting it. And it sounds really interesting, but at least for me, I don't know, our audience, sounds kind of complicated. So this is going to lead this to practical application. Like for someone who is listening in an audience and is interested, sorry, in experimenting with this, what type of methods or devices are used more specifically in electroculture? I'm referring to this type of antennas that you mentioned, copper spirals, magnets. Are they complex and difficult to build, or any do-it-yourselfer can have these options made?
Yeah. So I would love to make this accessible to the beginner grower. Yes. And with most things like this, there's kind of a base level, and then you can always kind of go a little more advanced with it. Yes. So the most simple, basic version of electroculture, a stick in the ground, copper wire spiraling around the stick, creating a spiral up into the air. So we know how all plants are pointed at the end. Most leaves you see in nature, they come to a point.
Yes.
That's for a reason. That's nature's way of harnessing shape power so that electromagnetics can come to the plant, like that point, like focuses. So that's what you're doing with the antenna. You're just spiraling it, pointing it into the sky. That's it. You could do that alone. That's it. You could add other stuff, and like I just said, you could do it, but no, that's the basic. That will work. If you're fresh zero and it all seems overwhelming, just get yourself a stick and some copper wire, and that's it. Start
And
there.
that will give you results.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And it sounds like, how it's so simple, but there's a whole science to this, of how the copper and the soil and the ether work together. Yeah, I mean, it seems too basic, but it's what it is. And then when you add the other stuff in, that's just the next level. It's the advanced version. Yeah, but you can start very simple. Very simple.
Like an upgrade.
Absolutely. I mean, how even in cannabis cultivation, some people just like to grow outdoors and keep it simple. And then you have indoor growers that have lights and this and that. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like how entailed you can make different shapes of antennas. You can mimic a tree. You can create an antenna and mimic the branches of a tree, because trees are the natural electroculture antennas of the planet. Like we're mimicking a tree. Basically is what electroculture is. Basically, yeah. You know, and then you can add in magnets and yeah, like there's YouTube tutorials, you know, on how to improve it, put magnets onto the antenna, how to bury things in the soil. But yeah, that's for the more advanced person.
Yeah, like it's like in every type of technique, you can always go the extra step, the extra mile. There's always more to learn or more to do. But if you want to keep it sorry, keep it basic, it's just as you mentioned with the basic
Yep.
antenna, the copper wiring.
Yeah, that's how I would start for like a workshop or working with the local farmers and the cultivators of cannabis. I would start very basic. Yeah, until you grasp the concept, until you really understand. But I mean, it's as simple as also just taking a quartz crystal. If you have a quartz crystal, just sticking that into the soil. Boom, quartz crystal into the soil with the copper. You know, it's just little things. Oh, maybe you want to put a copper pyramid on top of the water, like the water you use to water your plant.
Water the plants, yes.
You could charge up the water, put it on a copper plate or in a pyramid, then water. And that's also creating an electromagnetic field. So there's different angles depending on where you live, what you have access to, and who you are. Yeah, and how nerdy you are, how sciencey you want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all comes to that, how nerdy you are in the subject,
Yeah,
or how nerdy you want to get in the subject.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So you have mentioned these advantages about the electroculture, you know, reduced inputs, higher yields, more resistant plants. But besides this, what have you personally observed in your personal experience? What is being reported? What have you read about it? And in contrast with that, what are the most, in the other way, common disadvantages of this type of technique?
Yeah. So when I used it in my own little garden that I was at, the rapidness of growth, it's almost like, because I only put it in a little section of my garden too, so I had the comparison, you know, of area, you know, but it creates a large field. But I could just see every morning, it's almost like the plant is glowing, you know, like you could just feel it, you can see it. It has a rapidness to its growth, you know. It looks hydrated. You know, there's no like yellowing leaves, and it just looks like this vibrant, highly producing. I did veggies when I did mine, and
Okay.
yeah. I remember I did eggplant. What else? I'm trying to remember, but it was undeniable to see just wow, yeah. You know, what I remember the most is how quickly it was growing. You know, like I planted a seed, put it in there, and it was like every morning, like like Jack and the Beanstalk almost. You know, and you could think how that would be lovely for cannabis, right? I haven't done a large cannabis garden myself, and that's why, because I can't grow here. So I'm excited to see how, you know, like that, this part's newer for me too, because I've been here 9 years and I can't grow here myself.
You haven't been able to apply your experience and your knowledge to a cannabis cultivation. Not yet. Okay, I see. But
I
with
know
produce, with veggies, with additional things.
Totally. And then knowing other people in California that are using it. But I'm ready to get hands-on with it. Yeah.
Not by personal experience, but by experience.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just following the trend, and yeah.
And when you're growing your products and your veggies using electroculture, were you taking some kind of notes, tracking were you
Not as
doing a
much as
side-by-side comparison like you mentioned from other farmers?
not as detailed. I would like to do that. Yeah, not as detailed as that, but yeah, I could get a little more nerdy. I would love to and just see, because that shows people when you have a comparison. You can really notice when you're like have a static no electroculture. You can see it. It's undeniable for sure. It really is. Oh, your other question was like detriments. You were saying
Yes.
the second part of your question I forgot to answer. So the only thing I could see is that access to materials. So maybe if you're somewhere in a rural area, you don't have access to copper or aluminum. But that's the beauty of this, is that it's such common natural materials, rock dust, water. I mean, to create structured water, you just spin it, or you can add a shungite crystal. So what I could see is maybe not having access to some of these things could be, make it a little harder. But then you think, hey, if you got access to chemical fertilizers, it should be
It shouldn't be that
as
hard to get
easily.
access
But
to those
yeah.
materials.
And then also the staying consistent with it, being and getting the knowledge of the science, because like you said, it could seem a little overwhelming, if you're not science minded. So yeah, there may be a learning curve to understanding it, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in anything new that you are trying to learn, there's a learning curve. So
Totally.
in the
Absolutely.
end, yeah, as long as you take it step by step, here you are really committed and you are really curious and want to learn
Yeah.
about this technique. Yeah, it shouldn't be hard for people that really wants to do
Yeah.
it, that really wants to learn.
Totally.
Now, regarding electroculture, has there been any criticism by the scientific community? What are the most
Totally.
common facts that they level against electroculture?
A lot of people think it's bullshit. Of course, there is a percentage of people that think that it's quackery and that it's esoteric and whoa,
Sorcerism
whoa,
and
yeah.
things like that.
Oh,
Because
it's
I'm,
magic.
I'm gonna be honest. It sounds kind of magic, like esoteric. I mentioned at the beginning. It sounds like sorcerism, like in the end magic. But
Totally.
you also said that it has been proven that is something that has been researched by science. But you know that at the end of the day, there also science against it. So
Totally.
what do they say? What are the most common criticism? I mean, is besides going straight forward to it's bullshit, what
Yes.
other additional arguments that they make against electroculture?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just a lack of understanding, truly. I think that people that criticize it just don't understand it, because if you understand the qualities of electromagnetics, for everything, for all of life is electromagnetic. So to not understand or to criticize the power of electromagnetic frequency is to not understand the earth that we live upon. Everything is electric. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. So I honestly think that the ones criticizing it are more along the lines of the big ag industry. Of course, big agriculture is not going to want something like this to come to the forefront. They want to push the chemical fertilizers,
Yeah,
yes?
exactly.
So, we have to look at who is criticizing it too, because it's at the juncture in its revival and rebirth, because it's not new, but we are at the crossroads of kind of proving
Yeah,
that it's a real thing. That's exactly where we're at. Because yeah, you have like a little pushback, but I gotta say, I'm seeing less and less pushback as the years go by, because it's being proven, because books are being written, old books are coming back, into the circulation about it. All the people are being talked about it who founded these concepts, and they're all very legitimate people, like very wise people. So, but it is at the crossroads of understanding. And I just think the criticism is a lack of understanding, because we're all electromagnetic. That's how life works.
most of the times, yes, criticism is a lack of understanding, and in the end, comes to having an open mind. I mean, being open to listen or try to learn new things, not disregarding them as fact just because it doesn't align with your beliefs or with what you think on how things work. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to follow that lead or you have to accept it and enforce it. But I mean, at the end of the day, just be open to listen to new ideas. You might get something useful out of it.
Yeah.
Most of
We're
the times it happens. I mean,
Yeah, well, all things throughout history, I mean, all new things are kind of criticized. Like anything that's creating a change is going to, but as it should be, of course. It's like, let's dissect this, let's experiment. If if someone has had a hands-on experience with electroculture, they're not going to criticize it because they've experienced it. So a lot of
yes,
it's like if you've not experienced it and maybe just listen to someone like me talk about it, of course you're going to have more doubts. Of course. Yeah, it hasn't come into fruition in your life. And
sometimes
it's
they want to listen to information, as you said, from a more serious person. But at the end of the day, who's gonna know more about cannabis cultivation and some type of technique that they apply to it, to
yeah,
their harvest, to the cultivation, if not that person who is doing it, who is experimenting? I mean,
yeah,
we always can have the book smarts, but if we don't have the street smarts, the practice
absolutely.
smarts, we don't have anything. I mean, and that's a good thing. I mean, at the end of the day, as I mentioned, it's just to try to be open to listen about new things. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't
Yeah.
hurt. It's just more knowledge, and
Yep.
knowledge is, I mean, it doesn't hurt.
It's power. Knowledge is totally power. And then I believe that knowledge becomes wisdom through experience, right? Yeah. Like you can read a book, listen to a podcast, but until you're applying it and experimenting, and people are experimenting, creating taller antennas, playing around with shape, playing around with different magnets. Right now it's at this really
Exactly.
fun place. People are discovering new things about it all the time.
and and be curious, keep asking questions, don't stay with what has been said, and not because they or she or he said it, it's the truth or it's a lie. I mean, listen to it. If you want to find more about it, well, there we have information at the palm of our hand, so there's
You
ways to
do.
find out more about it. And if something that is not interesting to us, but we can always, I mean, disregard it. But I mean, uh there's always ways to find out and to reach out to more expert hands to find a little more information on any subject, any matter, because
Absolutely.
we all learn from each other at the end of the day. I mean,
Yep.
and nobody can consider itself, I mean, that they know everything about anything, because there are always new ways and new things to learn. I mean, I didn't knew about electroculture 2 3 weeks ago. You told me about it. I have been reading a little bit more about it, by but I do agree that there needs to be a little more literature about it, more information, more education,
Yep.
and to provide information to the people, because
Yeah, it's
there are
happening.
things that people don't know, and just have the information available. Use it if it's for you, or not use it if it's not for you. But that means at least have the information available.
Yeah,
We
I
all
agree. Yeah,
we
it's important.
always you can always learn something from we can always learn something from each other. Now, you mentioned that you don't have a lot of experience applying this knowledge and these techniques to specific to cannabis, but from your experience, from your short experience, do you believe that this technique, that electroculture, will offer specific benefits to the cannabis plant, to a cannabis cultivation, to a cannabis yield? For instance, talking about potency, I'm talking about terpenes, flowering speed, faster yields. What do you think could be beneficial, specific for cannabis, about electroculture?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great question. And what you said in the beginning too, I think we're gathering more experts as time goes on. More and more people are becoming experts in the electroculture. My friend just wrote a whole book about it, a whole ebook, 100 pages. I just read it. It was amazing. So, yeah. And so, being experienced in the cultivation, almost 20 years of cannabis, I know what you're looking for. We all want like the beautiful, healthy fan leaves. We want a robust vegetation, right? And the nutrient uptake is so important in cannabis. That's what, we're trying to get the right levels of nitrogen and magnesium and the balance of nutrients. It's so key to cannabis and how it flowers and becomes good medicine. So electroculture is specific to the health of the soil and making it alive and making the roots so healthy that they're going to uptake all of those nutrients naturally. You can add organic compost and the rocks together work in synergy. So you're having a living frequency of the compost matter, the magnetic frequency of the rocks, and they work together to make the cannabis mother plant so vigorous and just rooted in the earth and stretching all of her roots so that she can be super strong for when she goes into flowering, right? And then when she goes into flowering, we all are going for the biggest nugs and the tastiest and the density and the quality of the terpenes, yes, and all these things. And that's what it comes down to, is it brings out the flavor. A well hydrated and nutrified cannabis plant is going to give you that primo medicine. That's how the flowers become so delicious. Right? So when you're working with electroculture, you're avoiding those chemicals, like I mentioned already, because we don't want the chemicals in our medicina. You don't want chemicals. No. It may make things grow well, but it's even more important because we're ingesting it. So we don't want to be like burning chemicals. We're here with cannabis as a healing tool. So if we're doing something that's going to make us more sick, then we are canceling out the beauty of cannabis. So with electroculture, you're bringing back her vibrancy. You're helping her stretch to the sky when she's in vegetation, and then you can create these spirals going downward that then make all the fruits and flowers just come to life and be so vital. And you don't have to use all these crazy things. You don't have to use fancy lights or this or that, You're literally just working with electricity, because electricity powers life. It drives the metabolism of nutrients, cellular functions, growth, all of it. So if cannabis is in a happy electrical environment, she's going to make that much happier medicine. And you're going to feel it. When you smoke it, if someone has cancer or is sick, they need the purest medicine with the voltage. So, we talk about power and voltage, and that's how we measure power, like low voltage, high voltage. This is going to make high voltage cannabis, Camacho. You feel me?
High voltage.
High voltage.
At least for me, I'm all about flavor and potency. With that, I'm sold, because it has happened to me. Maybe it has happened to you. You have some good tasting, amazing taste, but it doesn't hit that much. Or you are so high, but the flower, the bud doesn't taste that good. I mean, I'm gonna smoke it because it gets me really high, but I don't like the taste.
I've been there. Yeah, totally.
I think we all been there, and we all want to avoid that. And when we start growing our own medicine, I mean, at least it has happened to me. I'm focusing on flavor and potency. I mean, good yields, obviously, but I mean,
I'd rather have.
I'm kind of picky on flavor and potency.
Yeah, quality over quantity in my world. Yeah. I'd rather have quality than a whole farm of Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and also electroculture is about hydration too. It's about, we all know that it's a lot of work to grow cannabis and the watering and all of these things, right? But you can make something called plant juice, fermented plant juice, where you ferment with a little bit of sugar, plants, and it makes a juice, and then you add that to your water. I mean, there's so many beautiful natural things in this science that are just going to make cannabis so happy. And when she's hydrated, you have to water less. You know, you don't have to
Yes.
water every single day, and and all these things. It changes the approach to how you're growing completely, and you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to notice if you're hands-on doing it. I know it. Like, even though I haven't done it, I know it.
But you know it.
I know it in my heart.
With
And I know others, and I know others.
that have done it. And with all this information, Katya, what is your personal perspective and your best recommendation for a cannabis cultivator, either experienced or beginner, who is thinking about getting into electroculture? It's in your from your experience. I might know the answer, but is it something worth experimenting with, or it should be approached with extreme caution? I mean, what practical advice will you give for anyone who wants to get started
Yeah.
in an informed way?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would definitely start with a little bit of education, just a little bit. If you're drawn to it, if it sparks you, like you said, you feel like, oh, start with just a little bit of reading. There's tons of YouTube channels talking about electroculture. Just get the basics, what I've shared here. Learn your basics, but it doesn't need to be fancy. So just starting with that simple copper, adding structure to your water, throwing some rock minerals in the soil, as simple as that. Just start simple, kind of, get your feel for it, and educate. Just learn about what is happening so that you're connected. You're not just like following some directions,
Yes.
right? Where you're like, what's happening? What is this? Like, find out what it's doing. That's what I want to be a part of, is sharing what's happening. What are these rock powders doing? They're creating magnetism. What's the antenna actually doing? It's gathering plasma and ether from the ionosphere. How do those work together? That's all you need to grasp. That's the
Under-
basics.
Understand it, keep being curious, keep asking questions, and as you said, try to find out what exactly this thing is doing, and maybe by experimenting you can find something new and share it with the community.
Totally. So many people online are making their own shapes and trying this and then trying that, and maybe if I put a circle of rock powder around the plant, or I'll try this. Everybody is just trying what their intuition tells them to try. If you connect to the frequency of the earth, she will speak to you. Yes, take out all the distractions. Even I say, listen to the plant. Listen to the cannabis plant. What is she telling you? What does she need? What does she want? What does she not need or want? I think a lot of times, like, back to that controlling nature, we kind of get in the way. We kind of like do this and we do too much. I always say simplicity is powerful. Simplicity, good water, antenna, good soil. Start with those 3 key things. Take it from there. You
Don't
can either
overthink.
I was
Sorry,
just
go
gonna,
ahead.
yeah, one more thing I was gonna add that I haven't touched on is starting at the level of the seed. So if you grow from
Okay.
seed, Camacho, you could start by electro-magnifying your seeds. So you could work with the copper and pyramids and doing things to start at the seed level. So before you even put it in the soil,
Oh, I
the
see.
seed has been designed, right? It's been reharmonized before it even comes up out of the earth. That's where to start. So if you're going from seed, you start with the seeds. You purify and electrify the seeds.
Nice. So start. There's no other way. Start at the beginning.
Right at the very, very beginning, the foundation. You want the foundation to be pure and vital and electric.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you said before, don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Start basic.
Yep. Because like I'm a nerd, so I love like going into just. But if that's overwhelming, it doesn't have to be that complicated. It really does not. Nope. You can just do whatever your capacity. Yeah. It's
We
really
have to
just about
remember,
the. Yeah.
yeah, we have to remember that it's about enjoying it, not
It's
suffering it,
fun.
being a
Yes.
slave to it. Yeah.
Electroculture is fun. That's the thing. Right now, it seems a little dry because but once you it's fun. People create these fun antennas and using crystals, and it's a really. That's why it seems so magical and woo woo because it looks so magical. Yeah, But if you don't believe in magic, then what do you believe in?
Yeah. You can say that. Yeah, exactly. We all use the magical plants.
I mean, cannabis is magical to begin with, right? Like, right.
Exactly. So
God's
what we
gift.
do, yeah. As I said before, I mean, at least we need to keep an open mind. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't need to disregard anything or everything just because it doesn't align with our beliefs or how we were
Yeah.
raised or brought up. I mean, keep an open mind. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't
Does
hurt. I
doesn't
mean,
hurt.
it doesn't hurt because yeah, we can always learn something or at least find out about something new that we didn't knew. Like me, I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know about electroculture. Now I
I'm
know.
I'm so grateful to be able to bring this to you and open this door for you. Maybe it aligns with you, maybe it doesn't, but I just think the more people that could explore this, that are into cultivating, the better. It's a beautiful option.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this is why we provide this call it safe space. I
Yeah.
mean this open space for diverse dialogue. I mean it doesn't have always to align with the opinions or what we think or what our objectives are as the Federation for Cannabis Cultivation, but to bring an open stage for everybody in the cannabis community to express themselves or to mention something that they think in honest way that can help any other person in the community. That's the way. I mean, in
Yeah.
the end, it's an open space. Everybody's welcome. It doesn't have strictly to align with our beliefs or with
Awesome.
our ideas, but
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
we
Yeah,
are all different minds and we all think differently. So yeah, we welcome at
absolutely.
least if the only thing, if it's not something that's going to harm anyone, something harmful or bad or with bad intention or with dishonesty, and anything else is truly welcome here in the cannabis community.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, what I also want to say, the key ingredient here is love, open mind, open heart, right? Like whenever you're growing anything, no matter what approach you're taking, may it be from
Yes.
the heart. May it come from the heart. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes from the heart, being honest, being in good nature, and that's the key to success. At least for me, I mean, everything that I do, it's always in good nature. I mean, I'm not trying to screw anyone.
Mhm.
I have been betrayed because I act like that, but that's not going to change me. I mean, it's
Yeah.
on them, not me. At the end of the
Yes.
day, I see it that
You,
way. It's on them. It's not on me. I mean,
you stay
some
pure.
some people treat me or say that I'm kind of dumb for thinking that way. I mean, no, I'm in peace with myself. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to harm or do anyone wrong. If they do it to me, well, it's on them. It's not on me. So
We don't want to match back to frequency. We don't
no,
want to match the frequency. Yeah, the lower, yeah, vibration.
I,
We're trying
I,
to
I
raise it
try not to be
up.
a bad person. I try not to be a person.
You're a good guy, Kamato.
Well, at least I try to try.
we do our best. Good is relative, but we do our best.
Exactly. Now, as you mentioned, and looking forward to the future of, as you mentioned, and as we are looking for sustainable cultivation for products, for veggies, for cannabis, for everything, do you think that this technique, that electrocultivation, electroculture, could gain more ground in science, in more scientific research, in a large scale agricultural practice, like for even, for example, like in an industrial scale? Do you see that possible in the future?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like I feel passionate about connecting with the local Baja farmers and the farmer families is kind of like where I also want to take this. And when I was bringing up the Midwest, larger agricultural farmers
Hmm.
that have been experimenting, they're doing large scale electroculture. We're talking huge fields with 20-foot tall antennas and utilizing it on a large scale. I was watching a video the other day. I was like, wow, this guy had 4 large antennas on his entire acre property. And then he had, it was amazing. So it's very, yes, electroculture is beautiful because it can be used for a plant this big or it can
Okay.
be used for a huge field. And it's the same concept. You're just working with a larger antenna and working that soil more. It's just expanding the concept, but it's the same concept, But yeah, it can be just a little person in their closet, or it has been taken all the way up to large ag. Yeah.
When you said, I don't know why my imagination ran wild. When you said a huge field, it came to mind a huge cornfield, and you mentioned that this avoids pests. And we know, or at least I know by cartoons, if cartoons have taught me something, is that the biggest enemy or the biggest pest for a cornfield are crows. Can you avoid them with electroculture also?
Yeah, that's like the big thing is taking away fertilizers and chemical pesticides and using electroculture to deter pests. Because as I was saying, when you create a coherent
Uh-huh.
electromagnetic field, it literally deters the bugs. Bugs will just be like, oh, I don't want to go there. There's certain chemicals that are put out by sick plants or plants that aren't in full optimal health.
Okay.
Bugs can sense that. Even if you look at a plant and it looks okay to you, the bugs have sensors inside of them that are like, that plant is not doing well, and they'll go to it. And so that's what it has mainly been used for in bigger ag, is deterring pests without pesticides, is taking away the need for pesticides. Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
so for any plant, for any crop, whether it's a specific pest, whether it's a critter, a bird, a bug, it gets
Yep.
rid of it. It
Yep.
avoids being attacked by that particular pest. That's great.
Absolutely. I know. And it sounds almost unbelievable. Yes, but like when you think about it, how did we come up with these pesticide chemicals? That was created by man. These chemicals that kill bugs and do this and do that, like man created that. So when you tap into the native electromagnetic frequencies rather than the non-native ones, it's just going to create a coherent environment for life and for growth, hydration, the microbes.
Yes.
Microbes are the key to things. And a lot of things, when it's large cropping like corn and all of that, the soil's depleted. We all know that over farming a plot of land kills the soil. So if the soil is depleted and it doesn't have the microbes needed, the plant will not thrive. And a plant that doesn't thrive will be
No.
attacked by
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, so it's the hydration, it's the microbes, it's all of that combined together that keep it safe, that keep it happy and healthy
Keep
and
it
safe.
safe and not exposed to the elements of the environment
Yep,
that are
yep,
craving to attack it. I mean, and for cannabis plants, that is for sure.
yep.
Everybody loves cannabis. All the
Even the
critters, all the plagues, you name it, they all have to. I don't know why. They all have
I
to.
know why. It's
I have
God's
an
gift to
idea.
the planet.
I have an idea. So,
Totally.
after all these benefits that you mentioned, and after all this experimentation that has been done, and all the basically all the benefits that you mentioned for electroculture, what will be needed for it to be viewed less skepticism and more as a validated agricultural tool in general, not just for cannabis but for
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
use?
Yeah, like I just keep coming back to the understanding of electromagnetic frequency. It's if we just understand electricity and magnetism in general, like without even growing, just understanding the way that these two things work and are a part of all of life. Once you grasp that concept and really, really understand that, it's kind of a no-brainer. The electroculture makes a lot more sense. It makes a lot more sense because you're like, oh yeah, that's how electricity and that's how magnetism come together. They create this. They Once you understand it, you can apply your own knowledge to experimenting because you know the how. You understand the concept, and it's easy to think that it's just, oh, that's not doing anything because you don't understand
Exactly.
electromagnetics. Yeah. Have you ever been shocked? Have you ever touched something and been shocked? See, we are electromagnetic, but we
Yes.
forget. We just forget. we carry that charge. When a person dies and their soul leaves their body, their electric energy leaves their body. That's what the empty body is. It's no longer animated. It's no longer
Just
living
the
with that
energy.
energy. Yeah. So plants are the same. And so when we really understand that this is about life, this is a life concept. Yeah, not just a farming concept. Yeah. And so when you really understand that, I think it really helped me. It really helped me. And like I said, I just read my friend's 100-page book on electroculture. Shout out Kenneth Sperry of New Atlantis. Love you. He's on the forefront of it as well. And he created this book for this reason. But it's amazing because he breaks it down in such a way. It's so easy to understand. Yeah, the way he did his book, I thought I understood. Now I really understand. Now I'm like, oh, light bulb, literal light bulb. Like I get it. Yeah.
Makes it easy to understand.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
yeah, and then applying it. Yeah, and absolutely, application is what will seal in the experience. Yeah, and
Yeah.
playing around with it and the
Practice.
power of water. Yeah, because I mean, we all know like lightning. So I always like to use the example of lightning enhancing the growth of mycelium. So you want fungi and stuff, and the healthy soil is full of mycelium and mushrooms. That's a healthy living soil. You got worms, you got mushrooms, you got all the minerals. That's the happy soil. So lightning, which is natural, we all have seen lightning. That's the energy that we're working with. We're like pulling that energy out of the sky. Yeah, and it's very possible because you see when lightning strikes like a
Yes.
top of a building, that's why it's drawn to that conductant material. So that's what you're doing on a small scale.
And
Well,
channeling it to the plant, to the
absolutely.
earth itself,
Yep,
basically.
yep, yep. The earth and the planet. I just keep saying it's a toroidal. So it's this. It's into the soil, out the plant, back into the soil. It's creating this circuit of energy.
Sounds really amazing and really interesting. This is a really interesting subject and very deep. I guess we could go hours and hours and hours chatting
I could
about it.
nerd out, but we'll save that for the more advanced class.
And with your perspective and knowledge on this unique topic, I think that they have been enlightening for some of us. I mean, maybe all of us. I mean, for me personally, because I didn't have any idea about electroculture until
Yeah.
you mentioned it. You have taken us from the history of it to the practical application. You have mentioned some tools that can provide us, sorry, with better understanding. As you mentioned, the key to it is the better understanding on how electricity, magnetism works. It sounds really, really fascinating, kind of mysterious, as I mentioned at the at the beginning, but I think that in the end, the most important thing is that this has been a very, 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 for myself, a very enriching conversation. I really appreciated you taking the time for being here with us. And is there anything else that you want to add for us regarding this amazing and interesting subject?
Yeah, thank you so much for like having me on. And I obviously am very excited and passionate about the topic. And this is my first time to be in a public forum talking about it and sharing it with people that have never maybe heard of it. So I want to say thank you because it brings joy to my heart to be able to share this more and with more people and wider spread. And I in this passion would love to start having some workshops so it's hands-on, teaching people how to make antennas, having a hands-on sort of workshop experience, whether it's the cannabis cultivators or the food farmers. I'd love to get into both, but I would like to be on the forefront of this education for those that are drawn to it, curious about it, and starting some hands-on sort of workshops, so that you can really understand and look and hold and touch and use our senses, and and have fun. It's really fun. It can be really fun once you grasp that concept and get into the fun aspects of building stuff and, making a pyramid and, yeah.
Cultivation is fun already. If you can make it more fun, if
Right.
this speaks you, if this interested you and you want to make it more fun, why not? Right?
Yes, yeah. And it is new. Like I'm all about, I've always been into what is nobody else doing. I kind of am always on this like holding the torch of kind of like the new subjects that are maybe taboo or been suppressed. So I will do whatever I can to sort of be the educator, especially here in Baja. It's even more new. It's even more foreign here in Baja than it is in the States. So I'm excited just to have other people excited to learn and find out
Exactly.
about it and, bring it. We need to spread it more. And Baja has beautiful soil already, like we talked about before we got started, but
Yes.
all of the earth needs enhancement of the soil. We've depleted a lot of it by our actions. And so when we return life to the soil, we return life to us and our food and our medicines. And so, yeah, Baja is such an amazing place.
Thank
People
you.
growing. Yes, thank you so much for having me here in Baja. I'm so grateful to be here. And just having all these people that grow food and grow medicine and how we can take it to the next level, right? And make Baja a chemical-free zone. I would
Exactly.
love to see that,
Exactly. That will be awesome. That will be really awesome. Such as natural healing here in Baja. A lot of clinics of natural healing. That will be amazing. I mean, it's
Totally.
good soil, good weather, good
Yes.
climate, good everything, and we can fulfill here the circle of life. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, not because I'm a Baja native, but it's because it's true.
Well, I am grateful to know you and connect with the Baja natives because, yeah, it's exciting for me, and can help me maybe make some of the connections that I would like to make. You already mentioned the Ensenada Cultivators Club, super jazzed to know that even
Yes.
exists, actually. And yeah, just also like I've been meeting the next generation, these 20 and 30-year-olds who are really
Yes.
passionate about earth stewardship, and I'm excited, about the next generation too, and coming into this sort of work and understanding, so that they can take that into the future with them, and because
Hopefully.
hopefully it's harder to work with the older generations because sometimes stuck in their ways. Yes, but like, I'm hoping that we can change that too.
Yeah, yeah. If we can leave something for them, make that be the thing that we left for the younger generations. I mean, to
Yeah, we
keep the
want to.
movement, the movement alive. I mean,
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's all about a healthy planet, right? We want to leave our
exactly.
children a healthy planet. And for me, this is one way that we can do that.
And maybe for them to amend the mistakes that we made in searching for progress.
Totally.
Uh, Could be.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities. Humanity is at a crossroads of change. We are in a great shift of humanity and returning to more of these natural, not alternative, original, natural concepts and ways of surviving so that we can thrive. Because we've survived for a long time. It's time to thrive. It's time to take the voltage to the next, raise the voltage of humanity, Camacho.
Raise the energy.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We
raise
should
that
we should do that.
frequency.
I mean, all in good nature and searching for the positive result for all humankind. I'm down for it. I'm
Yeah,
down.
and like the pesticides kill us too. They're not just
Yes,
bad for the plants, they kill the animals, they kill all the other vegetation, and they kill us.
we end up
Why are
we end up
you
consuming them too. So I mean, why
and
why not get rid of them?
yeah, the less chemicals, the better. That's where I come from. Absolutely.
Absolutely, Katya. Your energy, speaking of energy, is amazing. We thank you enormously for your valuable time, for sharing this knowledge, this technique with us. And one more thing before we say goodbye, for all of audience interested in learning more about you, what you do, your work, maybe a little bit more about electroculture and how can you route them to the right way. How can they contact you, or where can they follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. So probably two ways. One would be Facebook. I'm Katya Napzok. And then might be easier to remember on Instagram. I'm Baja Bruja. If you search Baja Bruja, I will probably come up. Yeah, I don't know, there might be more out there, but you see my face, so if you put that. And I have an Instagram page that's Baja Bruja, and actually a website, but it's new. But I also have a Baja Bruja website as well.
Sounds great. You'll be getting a lot of hits on your website, I guess.
Cool. I hope so. I just, yeah, I would love to get more involved and share this in some workshops. It'd be amazing.
Perfect.
And
Amazing. 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 Katya, thank you again so much for being with us today. And to you, to our valuable audience, thank you so much for joining us on Conversaciones Cannábicas, Semillas de Cambio, Cannabis Conversations, Seeds of Change. We look forward to seeing you in our next episode as we continue to explore the vast and exciting world of cannabis. Until next time, remember, the seed of change is in our hands.
hmm.
Thank you.